In our last video, we saw that we could update data on the page from JavaScript by using document.getElementById. Now, what this does that we're not really a big fan of is I don't really have control of when this executes. So you'll see with a lot of websites, if I'm loading data or if I'm doing things with the page, I want it actually to be interactive for the user so that they can kind of dictate when things happen. For example, I don't want a login function to get run and try to show me this form to log in if I didn't click on it, if I'm still reading an article or something. So we can control this with JavaScript using something called functions. Okay, so this is an example of a function right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a different function. And so the way that we can do that, here's a nice shortcut. Okay, declaring other variables, we could say, let x equals 5 would declare a variable x with the value of 5. Well, I could declare a function with the function keyword instead of let, and I could say function print message. Okay, we always have the opening and closing parentheses after a function name, and then we have the curly braces to say, hey, anytime this function gets called or invoked, we're going to execute the code inside of these curly braces. Okay, so now what I could do is I could actually, I'm going to copy and paste that line here, and I'm going to take all of this out. Okay, and so now in my JavaScript, I just have this function called print message, and then when this function is called, we're going to go ahead and put Happy Wednesday into the inner HTML of our output ID, which is a paragraph. Okay, now if I save this and run it, and I come back over here and I refresh it, you can see nothing really happens. Okay, I just realized I'm still referencing the wrong JavaScript file, so let me save that. Okay, so you can see this is a paragraph is showing up because that is what I actually put into the paragraph of that ID, which isn't going to last long, right? As soon as this function gets called, then we're going to replace that with Happy Wednesday. But until this function gets called, that will never happen. So I could do a couple of things. Right here down below, I could put another script tag, and inside that script tag, I could say print message, and that will effectively call that function. Okay, so I come into here and I'll refresh the page, and you can see it runs so fast that it called this function immediately. Looking at this, you can see well, that looks a little bit confusing, but inside of here down, we're calling that print message function, and then it comes here. Well, in our next video, we're going to look at how we can use a button so that the user can actually click on a button and then call that function themselves.